Welcome to this demonstration of our new Google Fonts Manager, which is part of Visual Composer extensions starting with version 3.30. The Fonts Manager will be active and enabled the moment you update or install that version. If for whatever reason later on you decide you do not need the Google Fonts Manager because you're not using any Google Fonts, you can simply disable it in your options setting by switching the corresponding setting from yes to no. After saving the settings, the Fonts Manager will be removed. Provided it is active, you will find a new menu item in your settings, as well as a menu item in your WordPress main admin menu for Visual Composer extensions. Both of those links will get you right to the Google Fonts Manager. Fonts Manager is basically two sections. The first one is a summary. It will just show you the total number of fonts that you can potentially use. As of the time of this recording, there are 707 different fonts registered. And it will also show you how many fonts you have activated or added to your personal collection and how many of those fonts you marked as favorite. More about favorite fonts in a minute. The second section is the more important one, because that's where you actually create your personal collection. With 707 fonts and more over time, we found it easier if we separate those fonts in alphabetical order using their first letter, and therefore group those fonts into multiple tabs, each tab representing a letter of the alphabet that has matching fonts. The number next to each letter tells you how many fonts you have in that specific group. The way Google Fonts work is that for each font, a dedicated, separate CSS font file has to be loaded from Google in order to actually show the font in its intended design or style. Naturally, with 707 fonts, that means you have to load 707 different font files. For that reason, we intentionally did not make that process automatically. Depending on your internet speed, connection quality, it might take a moment to actually load that many files. Even though each file individually is rather small, sending out 707 requests at once could cause some delays depending on your connection. For that reason, we give you the option to manually load those CSS files if you really need to see a live preview for each font. You will find a matching button in each category. All you have to do is click it, and those CSS files will be loaded for you, and you will see the live preview of each font. You can also at any time load all CSS files at once by simply using the dedicated button for that as well. Again, as mentioned, depending on your connection, that might take a moment to load, but once it's done, you will see the live preview in every tab. Some fonts come in multiple variants or versions, and you can see that by the listing variants below each font name. If there's only regular listed, it means it only comes in one version, but some fonts come in more than one version. If a font has more than one, the font selector and the element settings that you will use to assign a font to an element will give you an option to pick any of those. Adding a font to your personal collection is as easy as simply clicking on a font name. The moment you picked one, you will see the little checkbox, and you will also notice that the counter up here will be updated immediately. You can also automatically select all fonts in a group by using the corresponding button, or if you want to actually use all fonts, you can quickly do that by using that button. The moment you selected at least one font per group, you will also notice a little indicator icon on that tab. That will tell you that in that group, you actually selected at least one font. That will help you when you come back later to change your personal collection. That way you easily know which group actually has currently any active fonts. Another nice feature of our Google Fonts Manager is the option to mark individual fonts as favorite. Favorite fonts will be listed first in the element settings, so you have easy and quick access to those fonts. All other fonts will be listed after, all in alphabetical order, of course. So we will just mark a couple fonts as favorite. And the moment you do that, the counter for favorite fonts will be updated as well. If you're searching for a specific font, don't quite know the exact name, you can also use the search feature. Let's just search for all fonts with the keyword Pro in it. The manager will automatically filter out all other fonts and will update its results. All tabs that have a match found will have that pulsating, blinking indicator for you, so you know exactly where you will find matches. The ones that do not blink do not have any results. You can clear out the search by either manually removing or just click that little icon. Once you build your personal collection, all you have left to do is actually save it. Should take a moment. And once you saved your collection, you are ready to use those in an element. I already prepared an element that is set up to support the Google Fonts Manager. Over time, we will expand other elements to support that as well. So stay tuned to see where else you can use Google Fonts. If an element supports the Google Font Manager, you will see a new control section. By default, if no Google font has been selected, it is kind of hidden, not so as to not clutter the overall settings panel. You can easily open it back up. And just like any select box, you can just select and assign the font you want to use. The options are separated in categories, starting out with the default font, which is also the default setting. The default font is usually coming from your theme or the plugin itself, assigning the default font to the element. The next listing is a listing of all the favorite fonts you marked in your personal collection. As mentioned before, they will be listed first, so to give you quick access. After the favorite fonts, we list what's called web-safe fonts. Those fonts are supported by any browser, on any device. They do not require any external files to be loaded. Hence the name web-safe. They have no dependencies. They look the same on any computer, any browser. After the web-safe font, you will get the listing of the Google fonts you assigned to your personal collection before. Depending on your collection, that can be quite a number of fonts, so the control element allows you to filter. You can quickly remove, perhaps say, any group except the default font. And just as in the manager before, you can also simply search. As shown before, if a font has multiple variants, you can select any of those. By default, the regular will be selected for you. If other options are given, they will be listed here, and you just select the one you like to use. Then all that's left is to save your changes, update your page, and voila, the element with the font you assigned in the settings. And that's basically all there is to know about the Google Fonts Manager and how it works. Thank you for watching.